Right, we'll talk about stashing today. Right, and you see, basically stashing is like you'll get at a point of time where you want to save changes temporarily. Now you see, it says when you are working on a situation and there are some features that you didn't commit changes yet, and suddenly someone comes and says you want to do another task. Let's take scenario like you are working on one particular branch currently. Let's say you're working on a development branch, right? Suddenly your manager and like you made some changes, you didn't commit them, and you're not sure whether to commit them or not because you're not sure that the work you did at this point of time is correct or not, right? If you're committing means what's the meaning? You're basically fixing the changes, finalizing the changes. Now whenever you are not sure of that thing and you did some work and you don't know whether to commit that or not, right? In that scenario stashing will be helpful. So what you can do is like this uncommitted work, or let's say the work which is temporarily you did, you can save that in some temporary area. That is what stashing is generally, right? You see, it says the same thing. Stashing is handy if you need to quickly switch the context and work on something else, right? But you are in the midway through a code and you are not quite ready to do a commit yet, right? uh, yes, you can add it in the staging area if you want. Now let's say you don't even know like whether you can add that in the staging area as well. Yeah, I mean like staging, yes, you can keep it in the staging, no problem. I mean like let's say you just like change those things and you can add it to directly stash. If not your committed changes, you can add it to stash, no problem, anything is fine. So basically uncommitted changes, simply to speak, right? And git stash is a command actually which takes your uncommitted changes and you see both staged and unstaged, right? And saves them away for your later use and you can revert them whenever you want again. That's the advantage I got. I mean like once I start working on my bug fix, if I am back, right, to my other branch, I can get all those changes. That's it. This will not be tracked. So this is like taking these changes, keeping somewhere, right? And once your work is done, you'll come back and you'll pull it back again. That's what basically stashing is. Just like saving that in temporary area, simply to speak. Right? Now let's say right, let's imagine I'm having some files here. Let's say I'll do touch A1, A2, A3. I'm creating three files and let's say git add dot, right? And I did not do commit yet, right? Now let's say I want to simply go to some other branch, or let's say I need to do on other work. So before jumping the branch, you add them to your stashing area. You simply do something called like git stash. That's it. Nothing else you need to do. Now I'll say git stash. Right? So basically it is going to take all your uncommitted changes and keep them for the later use. So once I say git stash, you see what it says? So what you did, so it automatically became green, right? What's the meaning of becoming green if I say ls? There is no A1, A2, A3. It's not even tracking, you cannot even see them. It just took them and saved it somewhere else. Making sense? Right? Now whenever, see, basically what it does means it will track with some specific commits actually. What is the latest commit at that at that point of time? No, it is like all the uncommitted changes. Whatever the uncommitted changes which you have, it will take and go it away. Right? Now let's say I saved these changes, right? So where they are going to do is like there is a command called git stash list. And you see you are currently having one stash, right? So that is where you have one with your particular thing. Now what you can do is like you can know what happened at this stash by the help of that stash at the rate 0. If you create multiple stashes, right, it will get stash 0, stash 1, stash 2. Right? Now let's say I want to know what happened at this point of time. I'll just copy this stash, right? And I'll simply say git stash and this specific commit number. I mean like the stash number. I'll say git stash and I'll say there's something called like show and my stash number A1, A2, A3, right? And now let's say your work is done, you went somewhere else. Let's say I went to some other branch like git checkout and I went to something like my master branch. So I was working in my that another branch, right? What is it? Branch one. So I went there, I did some work here, right? My work is done. I'm going back again, right? I made, let's say I made some commit changes here. Then I'm switching back again to my master, right? I'm in back master. Now I need to start working again on those files, right? So how you are going to say? You're simply say there is something called like, so you got multiple ways here actually. There is one command called apply, git stash apply, which will basically copy those from your stash and it will keep it here and it will keep the stash as well. So it will not remove stash. Okay. So git stash apply. And there is something called like pop. So what's the meaning of pop? Basically popping up and you're keeping up. So basically pop is nothing but removing it and keeping them. So if you do pop, it will delete the stash, it will keep the changes here. Two operations. Now let's say I'll do git stash. So currently I have only one stash, right? That's why if I say apply, it will take the latest stash. If not, you can give some number like this, stash at the rate 01, stash 02, something like that. Right, if I simply say git stash apply, you see. And if I do ls, yes, I have my A1, A2, A3 files. Alright, that's where you can generally use a stash. So whenever there are some uncommitted changes, right, and you want to store them for the future use or in let's say any other purpose, at that time you can save all these changes to your stash. Right, now let's say your work is done on this particular files. All you need is like do and commit the changes. Now let's say to git add dot, let's say git commit. Right, now if I say git stash list again, I say I still have that. That is the meaning of apply. It will not delete it. But if I say pop, it's going to remove that. Right, now what I'll do is like let's say I'll go and remove this particular things. Git rm. Right, I remove those three files. Right, and I'll say git dot, I'll say git commit hyphen m. Right, and there are no files called abc, right? Now if I say git stash pop, right, and you see what it says, drop the stash, which was my stash 0. Right, if I say git stash list now, do I have anything? So pop is basically removing and keeping the changes. Apply is it will keep the what do you say changes over there and it will just copy the things over. So it depends upon your operation whether you want to remove them or save it for the further process. You can go and work with that. So you got like more commands as well. So I went with pop, right? There is something called like git stash clear. So this is going to clear entire stash. It will remove entire stash for you, right? So this particular stash is going to go and remove all the things. Make sense? So stash is basically like I told you, right? Simply like changing your temporary changes whenever you want them. You can get them by using the stash concept in Git. Fine. This is clear. Right? So it's like very simple topic where you just want to temporarily save the changes. That's where you can be used for stashing. Now what I'll do is like let's go with the same thing again. Say git add dot and I'll say git commit. Right. These are the particular files. Now let's say what I want to do is like, right, I talked about it. So I was talking about something called like undoing the changes. So let's see how you can undo the changes. Now let's say I created a file, right? So what it says, git add to get those files, right? Now let's say I want to undo from here, right? What it did, I just created a file called ab. Did I add it to my staging? It's still under my working area. So whenever you want to come back from your working area, all you need to do is like delete that file, undo the change. As simple as it. Whatever we did till point of time. Now let's say I want that to be untracked, right? So what I'll do simply rm av, isn't it? That's it. I'm back. That is when you are in your working area. Undoing the changes in working area is simply nothing but how you do normally rm or let's say backspace, anything what you did till point of time, right? Now let's say touch my, I created one file called my. I'll say git add dot. Now it's not in my working area, right? I added it to my staging area, and you simply can use this particular thing. Git status will tell you like what to do. You see what it says. If you want to undo the changes, what I need to do? No. If I do RM, right? What happens? It's in my staging area, not in my local. So that's the reason why what it says. First, you need to unstage the changes, then you need to remove it. Three areas. You currently moved your file from working copy to staging copy, right? You need to bring that staging copy back to working copy, then you need to delete it. So how you can bring it back to unstaging? I mean, like how to unstage that particular file? All you say is like git reset head and that file name. That's it. I'll say git reset head. What is the file name? My, right? And if I say git status, now you say it is back to my working copy. Now if you want to delete, you'll say rm my. Now it's back, right? So two things. You committed those things and you want to bring them back. No, if you remove the file in staging area, right? I like what I told you. It is my temporary area, virtual area, right? Now let's say I'll do touch bm, right? I'll say git add dot, right? Now what it says is git status. So it's there in this particular thing. If you want to unstage, it says do that thing. If I do rm bm, right? Now if I say git status, what it says, you see, what you did actually, you basically tried to delete the file which was there in your staging area, right? Now what it says, changes are not staged for commit, right? What it says, if you want to get that back, right, do something called like checkout file, or whether you are sure like yes I want to delete that, I don't need that file, then you'll say git rm that file name, not simply rm, git rm. Two types here again. Now what you did, you deleted the file from staging, right? Now what it says, if you want to get that back to your working directory, it says check out hyphen hyphen file. You getting confused, right? Hmm. No, staging, like I told, right? Staging is my temporary area. Actually, my work is everything stored under working copy. Staging is like I told you, right? I want to just like track those changes. Right? What you did, we deleted the file in staging area, but it was actually deleted in my temporary, what you say, working copy. That's the reason why it says, if you really want to delete it, go with the git rm. No, if you accidentally deleted it, say git checkout hyphen hyphen that file name. Now, if I say git checkout hyphen hyphen bn, now you see I'll do git status. Now it's back again to my staging. Making sense? Is it clear? So I got actually two areas. Now the confusion begins actually. You got working area, staging area, right? Now what I did earlier, I directly deleted from working area because it's not just a physical copy, right? I did not do any staging changes or nothing. Then what I did, I made some changes. I pushed into my staging area. What is staging area? Actually, it's a temporary area, right? I told you that it's a virtual memory which is there for that particular time. When you deleted that BN file, it actually deleted from my working copy related to your virtual copy, right? So when I removed that, right, that's the reason why I said ls, I was not able to see that file. What it thought, you accidentally deleted that file. So it gave you two options. Okay, you definitely want to delete it, give with the git rm command. If not, you accidentally deleted it, you want to get it back to your staging back again and working, we'll say git checkout hyphen hyphen file name. Right? You see, checkout is based in two different ways. What is the first way I used? Switch the branches. Another one is to get the file which is deleted accidentally from these particular areas. Right? So what you can do is like do multiple commits and try to undo the changes. Then you'll get to know like how these things are working. Right? Now let's say goodbye to it. Like you. Now I got that particular file. So it's making sense, right? Why we are doing undoing the changes like from different areas. For your staging area, once this particular area, right? Now let's say you want to work with. So we went with reset head, git checkout. What was the other thing? There is one more thing I need to say. We did with checkout. We did with the reset. Yes. Yes. So there is something called like detached head. That is also very important. Alright. Now, if I say git status, you see, it says some particular things. It says like your master is 8 commits head, but forget about this thing. I don't want to work with remote repositories at all. Now I want to just see like how I'm going with my undoing the changes and these things, right? So we did check out in different ways, right? One was checking out file. What do you say? Sorry, file, and one was checking out branches. There is another thing called checking out commits. That is also very important when it comes to this particular git. So I'll say git log hyphen hyphen one line, right? So what happened, you see I'm having this specific commit here, right? So I'm just copying that commit, right? And I'll say git checkout that commit. Now you see what it says, checking out with that commit, and it says you are in a detached head. This is very important. Right? Okay, I'll just share that particular. So there is something called like detached heads. So basically we use checkout for moving from one branch to another branch. We have already seen that, right? But if I check out into a commit ID, then I go into a state called detached head state. Right? So I'm going to this area called detached head. So this is the same thing I did, right? Git checkout and that specific commit ID. So what is the meaning of this detached head? It says this is the area where you are not in your tree anymore. I mean, like you are not in your Git project at all, right? And it says we cannot track anything we do here, right? Any changes we make in detached head are not saved, right? Now it doesn't have any pointing branch. Basically, it's a static commit. So why actually what is the need of going into stage? Any particular reason? If you think you can get to know about why I need to go to the detached head. So what it says your changes will not be tracked. Whatever you make here will not be committed. Now let's imagine till this point of time, this commit, right? So I was having A, B, C, B, and something else, GH. Right now, what I want to do is like whatever I did at this point in this commit, till this point it is there. Now I want to check extra functionality, right? And I'm not sure whether it's correct or not, right? Now let's say I'll do touch hello, touch JKL. I created some HTML files. But yes, these are available here, right? You see, hello, JKL, everything is coming temporarily. But I can do all the changes and check whether everything is working or fine or not. So basically, this is where you can experiment some things. Why? Because it's not going to be tracked anymore. Making sense? So what I did was, I was in some particular commit, right? At that commit, there were no files called hello and JKL, right? So I want to test whether hello and JKL will work or not. Now I don't want stashing and all this thing to be there. So I am committing to that latest commit, which I made till point of time, and I'm creating files in the detached area. So what is the meaning of detached area? It's saying, right, whatever the changes you are making here will not be tracked and will not be saved. But you can check them whether they are working or not, right? No. Now you see what it says. You are in this detached head area. Now if you want again, you need to go and do the commits again, right? Making sense? So basically, why I'm committing into this particular commits is that whenever I want to work with something like, let's say, I'm not sure whether my functionality which I'm developing might work or not. Yeah, it is it. Just simply like I'll write those files, and if it goes correct, you can do one kind of operation. If it goes wrong, you can do another kind of operation. Right? I'll tell you like both the things. Now let's say it looks bad, right? It looks very bad. Whatever I did was complete rubbish here, right? I did like all those things and it like completely waste of time. Now what I need to do is like I'll just commit out from here. So I mean like check out from here. I'll simply say get check out to my master again, right? And what it says, switch to the branch. It says git push, and you see what says you are ahead by git push. No, that's actually it should not come. I think there is one more command. Detached H. Did I create this file earlier or just like created right now? So I said this particular file hello. I'll say git status. So I added two files, right? Actually, I added JKL and hello, but it's only tracking hello. It's not should not actually track hello as well. So I'll say git checkout that specific commit ID. This one, right? Yeah, that's what. This is the message I'm actually looking for. You see what it says? Now, if you want those changes, right? This is what you need to do. It. Now it says you are in detached head state. You can look around and make some experimental changes, right? And commit them, or you can discard those without impacting any branch by performing another checkout. So actually, I should not do git checkout master. I should say simply git checkout. That's the thing I did wrong over there. And it says if you want to create, I mean, like whatever the did work you did, right? It was good from this point. I mean, like what are the files like hello and these particular things you made, right? They are working copy now. So the experiment went correct according to your thing and it worked out. Now what you can do is like you can create another branch with those changes from this point of time. Now I'll say git checkout hyphen b, let's say a branch called working. Now it went and it switched to my working. Now here I have all these files. Now if I say everything is good, I'll say git add dot and I'll say git commit hyphen m working experiment. Okay, come. Sorry. Now, now you have the changes and your experimental changes. So that's where basically you commit into the what you say check out into the commit. So whenever you're checking out into specific commit, it means like from this point you want to do some experimentation simply. So when you want to perform some experiments, the best way is you can do into the committing into your checkouts. I mean like sorry, checking out into your commits. So actually we got three types of checkout now, right? So one checkout is for switching your branches, first checkout. Then we went and check out the files. Why we checked out the files? Whenever I want to undo the changes from my staging back to my this working, right? That is where I did the checkout and checking out into the what you say commits. So basically if you are checking out into that specific commit, it means that you want to perform some experimentations over there, and if your experimentations are good, then you can say create a new branch from there, or if not you can simply say git checkout and come out sets, right? So basically this feature would be very helpful for developers actually. I like of our operations team, right? You don't need all this concept, but let's say if sometimes someone asks in the interview, because checkout is basically we are using three different areas, so they'll ask where I can use checkout in different areas. One is I can use checkout with my branches, I can use checkout with my files, I can use checkout with my commits. These are the only three areas. You got nothing else. These are the only three areas we can do checkouts. Right? Now what I'll do is like yes, I need one more thing. So we undid the changes from staging area and all these things, right? Let's see how you can undo the things with your commits as well. Right, you committed, you want to undo. So we uncommitted the changes, sorry, I mean like we added the changes in your working copy staging area, but let's say how to do them in your committed changes as well. Let's say you committed the changes, then you want to undo this. So you got multiple options here. So one is called revert and one is called reset, two operations. So revert is the safe one. A reset is a very dangerous one. A revert and reset. Alright. So basically revert is like, let's say you did something, right? You can revert that, but your project history still stays. I mean, like, let's say you made commit 1, commit 2, commit 3, commit 4. 4 commits you made, right? You reverted third commit, right? You still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What you did, you reverted the third commit, right? Means you are undoing something again. You'll get a fifth commit. So you got five commits totally. The fifth commit was undution of your third commits. But still you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the 5 commits. That is reverting. Now let's say you got 4 commits. You reverted, you reset your third commit. Your fourth is gone. So reset is dangerous because from which point you have reset, right? The entire history is wiped out. There is no history from that point of time. Whereas when you do revert, it is a safer option. You have the history intact. Your history is not going anywhere. That's very, very important when you're undoing the changes. I mean, like git revert and a reset. So what I can do is like, fine, right? Let's say we got file called contact.html. Okay, I got some other things. What I'll do is like vi thing like index.html. Let's say I'm going with 1, right? And I'll say git and dot, and I'll say git commit hyphen m. I'll say and 1. Alright. So for this particular, now if you say git log hyphen hyphen 1 line, you see I'm added a file called add1 with the specific change over there. Now what I'll do is like I'll say 2. 2. Alright. Let's say I went and I created. Right. So I'm currently having 3 commits. One for one line, second one for second line, and third one for third line. Now, if I say git revert, right, it is going to take the latest commit which I did. So what is the last thing I added over there? 3, right? I added 3. If I say git revert, sorry, yeah. So I need to say git revert head or the commit number. Head is mine. Where is my head generally? Latest commits. Right? Now if I do git revert head, what it says? So I did something called like add 3. So it automatically went and saying revert add 3. Do you want to revert that commit? Yes, I'll say save it. This is like same merge conflict kind of message, right? Because I'm undoing the things again, right? Now I undid, right? Now what it says, one file child, one deletion. What it deleted? Line 3, right? Now if I say cat my index.html, I'm only having 1, 2. But if I say git log I'm having first commit, second commit, third commit, and this particular commit. Now if I want to revert to this commit again, I can say this one or simply say revert this one which I did earlier. Git revert head again. Now if I do git revert head, what it says, revert add 3. So it's reverting your add 3 again. Right, now I'll save the changes. Now it says one insertion again. Now if I say cat, I got 3 back again. So you got, I mean, like you saw the advantage, right? If I use revert, right, it's not going to erase my history, which is very, very important for my projects, right? If you're erasing your history means you're completely deleting your whatever the changes you tracked at this point of time. That's why revert is always the safest operation when you do undo the things. You never should do resets. So I'll show you what is the meaning of resets. All right. So let's say whenever I say reset, right, it's going to basically remove those changes from that point of time. Now let's do git log hyphen hyphen one line. So I'll revert, I mean like I'll reset till this point of time. But actually from here, how many commits happened? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 commits happened. Right? I'll copy this specific thing and I'll say git reset this commits. This is unstaged of your particular changes. Alright, and if I go and if I say cat and what is it? Okay, because it was like modified under, right? So it says unstaged. Like if you commit those changes, it will be gone. So once I do my reset, right, all the changes which I did till point of time, okay, fine. So you'll do something called like, sorry, I forgot it actually. So you need to use one more command. So git status. You see, it says you want to modify this particular file. But if you don't want, it says git checkout, same thing, right? What I'll do is like git checkout hyphen hyphen was the file name index.html. I'm back again actually. So actually the commit is git reset hyphen hyphen art. This one. So once I do hard reset, it's completely gone. So if I do, it says head has been moved now. So where it did, it basically took your head from my fifth commit basically to your first commit. Now if I say git log hyphen hyphen one line, from this point of time, everything has been wiped out. Right? So basically, whenever you are working with undoing the changes, right, always make sure at what areas you want to undo the changes. Whether you want to undo the changes in your working copy or in staging area are committed. So when you are working with working copy, all you need to do is like just delete the changes or undo the changes simply because it's not at staged. If they are staged, then you need to unstage them first, right? Then you need to undo the changes. If the changes are committed, you can either use revert or reset option. Revert is the safest option which will keep your changes intact. If you do hard reset, it's going to basically wipe out this entire things. Now that's the reason why whenever you are working with the remote repositories, you should never reset them. If you reset your remote repository, right, what happens? The other people changes will be gone as well. Right? That's the reason why you should, at 100%, you should always avoid reset. You should never use reset actually. But for timing, just like you need to understand like how you can undo the changes with hard level as well. That's where we use resets. That's a very dangerous command. Generally, we use the option called revert, which can keep all these particular changes and move ahead. All right. And, right, and we are still with left with some other topics as well in Git. There is something called like Git tagging and release options. So that will start when we are going with your Maven. Right. So I think like this is more than good enough with your Gits actually. I mean like there are lots of other things we can cover. There is something called like webhooks, tagging options, which will be good when we are seeing at that point of time. So when I'm working with Jenkins, then it makes the sense of how your webhook works and all this. Right. So till this point of time, now you can work like a normal developer. So you can commit the changes, you can push it to your Git repositories, you can clone those repositories, bring whatever you want. Right. So I'll stop it today, but maybe again we'll see Git in next 2 days, maybe another 2 or 3 days. Once we are done with, we are ending with your Maven, right? At that time, you'll see again a tagging option. Then when we are working with Jenkins, we'll see the webhooks again. All right. So what you'll do is like try all these particular options. Just go and do commits, revert them, or reset them. So when you work out, then only you'll get an idea how the Git is actually working. Right? I mean, like this is not so important for us, but let's say when you are going for interviews, right? They might ask these options like why these are used, why these are used. So just like for understanding purpose, it's better to know this. But for timing, like when you're working with DevOps related, then you need to know like how to push the changes to your particular thing and how to retrieve those changes. Whatever the changes your other developers are pushing to your GitHub repository, right? Because the next tool we are going to see is your build tool. How you are building your applications. If you want to build that application, right? What you need? You need your code. Where is your code? In your GitHub remote repositories. So that's the reason why how you can get the code from your remote repositories to your machines and how to build them. That's the reason why we saw Git. That's it. Because when you are working with build and release management, you should definitely know what are branches, right? Why we do commits, what should happen when commit is happening. These kind of things you should understand. Alright. So this is like more than good enough for Git. And the other two topics will go in that particular time. From tomorrow we'll start our build tool. Maybe. So tomorrow we'll see like what is Java, why we execute them, what is compilation, and all this particular process. So what you do is like just practice the policy. So what I do is like I'll send all the Git notes at once. So from starting like all the particular things, some examples you can try out with different approaches. Right? I mean like it is very simple. Like if you see like what till point of time what we did was how we are tracking those changes. What is the concept of branching, right? Then what is the concept of remote branches? I mean sorry, remote repositories. How we are attaching your local repositories to remote repositories, right? How other developers are pushing the code there, how you can add collaborators, and once that is done, how you are getting the changes from there. Right? So in our Maven projects also we are going through the same thing. I mean like throughout our particular class, Git will be used across different areas. So when you are working with load balancers, right? All this configuration you need to store in your GitHub. I'll show you like how you can store all these configurations in your GitHub. Right? And so this is good enough for Git. I think like you almost took 4 5 days for Git. Right? So this is more than good enough actually. Actually, you don't need all these things, but unfortunately, let's say sometimes in interviews something comes up, you should be able to answer them. Like, okay, this is a particular concept. Let's stop it here.